Good evening. My name is Peter Tarsi, and this is another installment of Legislative Update with Representative Bob DeLeo, Speaker of the House. Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Peter. Nice to see you.
Can you imagine?
Happy delayed July 4th.
I was just going to say that. It's July.
I know.
Do you believe it? Half the year is gone.
That's right, half the year. That's right.
Amazing.
I saw some folks this morning and who said, oh, that now July 4th's over and now the summer's just going to fly by. And I hope not. I always enjoy the summer.
With the summer.
Although I shouldn't say that because it's until August 1st comes, I'm probably working as hard as I do all year round. Of course, it never stops. But
and one thing I was just going to say, with the summer comes budgets.
That's right.
Every year. This is fiscal 2015.
Right.
I know that both the Senate and the House,
working
upcoming, I'm saying.
Right.
Both the Senate and the House have
Completed.
Their version going to the, or the combined version, I should say.
Which we completed by July 1st.
Right, going to the governor's desk.
Yep.
And as of today, July 17th, he has not...
July 7th.
7th, I'm sorry. He has not done anything. But if I remember correctly, he has 10 days to either pass it, delete items, or do whatever.
Right. He will, eventually he will sign it, and then obviously he'll veto some items and maybe send some back with amendments. It's funny, for those people who aren't as acquainted, they understand the process, but what the governor will do, they sometimes think that, will he sign it or not sign it? Well, he signs it so the government can keep on writing. But some folks say, well, maybe he won't veto anything. Trust me, he's got to veto something. On a $36 billion budget, there's got to be something in there that he doesn't like. So we'll anxiously wait his vetoes.
It wouldn't be fun for you or the Senate for him not to veto things.
It would. It would be interesting. And I have to say, in fairness to the governor, I think probably the last year or two, I don't think we've had as many vetoes maybe as we've had in the past. I know when I was first speaker, we had maybe quite a few, I think, and I can remember with previous governors, maybe even more the Republican governors with the Democratic House and Senate. I can remember some of the speakers being proud to state that they had overridden more vetoes than at any time in Massachusetts history. It almost got to they almost wore it as a badge of honor that they had done that. But I don't know what the exact number is in terms of what is the most that was ever overridden. I really don't care.
Now, this proposed budget, what does it include?
I think there are a couple of major items in the budget. First of all, on the local front, it includes more money in local aid than has been included in the past. It includes more money in education funding that has been included in the past. It includes more money for special education funding that has been included in the past. And I mention those three particular items because those are important to both residents of Winthrop and Revere to see that their local budgets can function and function properly. In addition to that, we put more money again into higher education. Last year, I had made an announcement that I felt that we really had to pay a lot more attention to higher education, that I was concerned that Massachusetts higher ed students in particular may be priced out of higher ed here in Massachusetts. I didn't think we could afford to have that happen because these are the youngsters who will be staying here in Massachusetts, raising their children in Massachusetts, and working here in Massachusetts. So for last year and this year, the UMass system is going to be freezing all tuition and fees, which is good.
Now, excuse me, let me just interrupt. Now, that's for Massachusetts residents,
Yes,
and outside Massachusetts, there may be an increase.
right.
Okay.
Right. I
Just want
say
to get that clarification.
I'm laughing with that because I saw at the recent Winthrop High School
Valhalla Day.
goodbye party, whatever
Yeah,
you want to
Valhalla.
call it. I met a lady, former graduate of the high school, whose daughter goes to UMass, and she was pleased to meet me, but then she also told me she was displeased the fact about the tuition that her daughter was paying. And I said, gee, I says, I'm surprised to hear you say that. I says, we put enough money that tuition had been frozen for the last 2 years. And she said, well, I live in New Jersey now. And I says, good. I says, you ought to be paying more so that our students can keep on paying, the same amount each and every year. So I think that's important. So you will see that. We also have had a major issue of substance abuse. Again, this isn't a Winthrop Revere issue. This is an everywhere issue. Mm-hmm. The number of deaths that have occurred as a result of substance abuse has been overwhelming. We have had caucuses on that where we've had members from maybe some of the poorer communities. We've had some members from some of the wealthier communities, and they have all told stories, terrible stories, about the number of people that they have lost. I said the word people this time. Usually I might say younger people. But I'll be honest with you, the deaths that we have had as a result of substance abuse have seemingly have crossed the lines not only in terms of wealth, but in terms of age as well. Yeah, there's a certain age group in some, maybe the 20 to 30-year-old seems to be those that are most likely to be affected. So we put a lot of money into combating substance abuse, money into as part and parcel of that mental health abuse. Put in a requirement now that as part of legislation, which we'll see what the governor does with that, no longer can these facilities force a person out of their facility immediately. They have to allow them to stay if it's medically necessary for a period of 10 days to seek treatment. What has concerned me and what I have heard from some parents and guardians is they get their child, we'll say, into a facility, mm-hmm. and before the child even gets settled, they may, or I should say they may get settled into their room and whatnot, and they'll say, okay, you're okay now, you can leave. And within a relatively short period of time, that person is back in because they haven't gotten themselves off of the abusive drug or alcoholic substance. Mm-hmm. So now they'll be able to keep them there a longer period of time, so that hopefully they'll be able not only to get it out of their system, but hopefully get some psychiatric help that will help keep it out of their system and give them the strength and the willpower to move on. So that's another thing that is we've put an awful lot of money into the budget. And one of the other items that we put in was additional funds for the Department of Children and Families. This has been a major item which has been talked about with the number of children who have died under the custody and care of children and in families. We put additional funding in there to increase the number of social workers, to lower, so they'll have the lower number of cases that each social worker will have, that they will now have to handle a smaller number of children. They will also have at their disposal better equipment that they will be used when they're out in the field watching and seeing these children. There'll be more oversight, both medically and social work wise of these children. But it's been, quite frankly, a horrible year in terms of what has happened. And it takes, as I said before, it takes a lot more than just money for some of the errors that were made by DCF. But I think that part and parcel of that, there is, with the additional funds, hopefully that will go some way, shall we say, to improve the system and bring better protections to those children under the care and custody here under DCF. So just off the top of my head, I think those are just some of the major items that we had addressed, and and I'm sure there are a whole host of other things. From veteran services, I can tell you, to obviously I think I mentioned mental health, senior services, once again, the environmental services. So there's a number of services of issues that we address, but those are some of the ones that I think this past year have received most of the concern by the citizens.
I have a note here regarding what Revere and Winthrop Chamber of Commerce are getting. It's like $25,000. For what purpose?
A couple of years ago, I started in the House. Senator Petroselli had placed it in the Senate to put a $25,000 grant, if you will, in both the House and the Senate. Hopefully the governor will sign it. And I felt it was necessary to give us the opportunity to sell our respective communities. What is Winthrop all about? What is Revere all about? I think we've got a great story to tell. Quite frankly, in comparison to a Boston, both communities are relatively small, and Winthrop's already a whole lot smaller than Revere. But when you walk around, when you drive around, it really gives you an appreciation to communities, although different in a lot of ways. Both communities which offer easy access to Boston, both communities which offer beautiful seaside amenities, both communities that have some beautiful homes, and so both communities with primarily new schools and a good school system. Both communities with excellent restaurants and an active business community. So I think both have a lot to sell, and what I'm looking for is to see this $25,000 go to both of the chambers, so that it will help them be able to go out to other parts of the state where they see fit, and to sell the communities and let people know who may not know what's going on in Winthrop and Revere, that this is a place that you ought to think about in terms of coming here either to do business or to live, or whatever it.
Enjoy the beaches.
Or bring your business here. Yeah. Take a boat ride over. I know recently I was able to obtain some $50,000 from the Department of Transportation for the Winthrop Ferry Service, which a lot of people were very thankful for. and I know that there are some folks who use that service to go into Boston to eat and to walk around. But I'm really looking forward to the day where I hear, just the opposite, quite frankly, where people are taking it from Boston to come into Winthrop, and to walk around and peruse some business, the center area or just the area around there. Try one of our fine restaurants. You'd be surprised the people from outside of my district, which I represent, of Winthrop and Revere, who the restaurants, the people who come from outside to try the restaurants in these two cities is there are a number of people.
Now, one other thing, there's also $250,000 for safety for children.
Right.
And that would be used how? Now that's for each community, I would think.
50 child safety grants.
Right.
I had put that in the budget, I don't know, maybe before we sort of ran into some fiscal difficulties. See, I'm getting like you, I'm in trouble.
I blame it on old age.
I'll blame it on the same thing. But this gives both communities the opportunity that they will now have some funding to address some of the, the safety concerns, if you will, in terms of what's been going on, especially now with the schools, not only here in Massachusetts, but the stories which are being told throughout the country in terms of the gun violence and other violence that is occurring throughout the country. I saw this as a great opportunity for us to, for me, I should say, to try to get some extra money into the budget. Senator Petroselli followed suit in the Senate. Both Revere and Winthrop, obviously, budgets being what they are, can use that type of money. They don't have that type of money just lying around for purposes such as this. What I'm looking forward to, that hopefully it can bring some, can be put to good use, bring more safety to the children, and maybe ease some of the minds of the parents when they send their children off to schools. But they're going to have to come up with some type of a plan that they'll have to present Department of Public Safety. And so I'll leave it up to each community to see what exactly they do. There was one year, I know, for instance, that I think it was Winthrop had provided for a resource officer, police officer, if you will, at the high school at the time, which was very, very helpful. So I don't want to prejudge in terms of what they'll do, what they see as the best way to handle the funds. So I'll let them decide.
This is coming to a time frame, I'll say that. It's sales tax holiday. Every year it's been working. Instead of going to New Hampshire and pay no sales tax, you could stay in Massachusetts and pay no sales tax up to a purchase of, I believe, $2,500.
Right.
And even if it's a luxury item like a fur coat, you have to pay tax on it. So
yeah, you can't buy boats or
yeah,
cars or.
I know that it is coming shortly. It's in August. I know that the definite date is not defined yet. But when do you surmise?
Sometime somewhere around the second week of August. Where am I here? I don't know, August 15th, 16th, something like that.
So we're talking possibly 5-6 weeks away from today.
Yes, right. This is something, was I in Ways and Means when we first started this? Yeah, maybe I was. It's something we've continued ever since. That's twofold. Number one, it gives people the opportunity to purchase items tax-free. Now, having said that, we passed a law, I think it was last year or the year before, wherein now, before businesses could never advertise tax-free, now they can. So people can now get these types of deals. Like I saw one of the furniture stores this morning talks about July 4th tax-free, so and they'll pay the tax.
Right.
So people can get the same type of deal. They don't have to wait till August because of the law which we passed. But for those who may want to wait for the official tax-free holiday, it'll be August.
Second week, give or take.
You know what? Let me try to find out myself here.
This is a first.
This is a first, right?
He's going to his book.
I just want to make sure. What did I say? I said the 16th, didn't I?
Yeah, around the 16th.
I think it's the 16th or 17th. I think it's somewhere.
Well, it's normally a weekend.
in August, right?
You saw it here first. He went to his book.
I knew it was the 16th. So, number one, it's usually a slow time in terms of business. Gives people businesses the opportunity to see their businesses increase at a slow time. People are starting to think about, kids turn off your sets now, going back to school and buying some things for back to school and with a little bit of a break. So hopefully it gives some people some relief financially. Hopefully it gives businesses the opportunity to increase their businesses into what do they call it, the dog days of August or the summer. From that perspective, hopefully it gives maybe some of the folks who may not be out during that period of time, and maybe when they're out, they might go to a restaurant or do some other thing and spend the money in some other part of the economy. Hopefully it might give that other part of the economy an additional boost,
Yeah, but we
which
have
we're
to
always
define
trying
this
to do.
This is sales tax, not restaurant.
No,
not
no,
meal tax.
but I'm saying is maybe people would not be out
Oh, I see.
at a restaurant. So maybe they're going to be out buying some back to school, and they'll take the kids out to eat somewhere.
That's true.
So this is the way I look at it. So hopefully there'll be that as well. So again, what it's meant again is to try to spur more business activity. We found that's generally a good time of year that they can use it, and it's something that not only may affect, how can I say this, maybe some of the bigger shopping malls, but most importantly, from my perspective, is maybe some of the smaller stores, that may, in the stores, the districts that I represent, maybe folks, instead of going out to the big malls, maybe they'll stay closer to home and give some of the local merchants that break and give them some of that business, which, by the way, I would hope that folks would think about that, not to put in a plug for the local, put in a plug for the local merchants, but because these are generally the people who live in the community. These are the people generally when you ask for a donation, they're the ones that are going to give you that donation. They're the ones that are there. They're the ones that, again, may they be there for every youth or senior event or whatnot. So I think it's important that we, we give whatever business we can keep in town, in Winthrop, or in the city, in Revere, that we try to do that. In addition to that, also, and this one I think is in a couple of weeks actually, Peter, we have the Sand Sculpture Day in Revere.
That, yeah. It's the 18th through the 20th of July.
Right.
And this is like the 10th, 11th year.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the number, but I will tell you this about that is something which has grown every year. As a child, I never had any ability to sculpture anything in the sand or anything else like that. I'd be the type of kid, you put the sands in the peel, you
Turn it upside down
turn
and
it
it falls
upside
apart.
down and say, "Oh wow, look at this! What is it? Oh, it's a smokestack or something. I don't know, whatever it may be." But I think that I am always amazed when I have the opportunity to go down there and I meet some of the sculptures. By the way, sculptures, is that the right word?
Yep, artists.
And these people come from all over the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
And when I see the things that they do, and
It's mind-boggling.
yeah, I mean, and the precision that they have. And I know that this is, a contest, and they can win some money. But number one, it's a great place to take the whole family.
And it doesn't cost anything.
No. Well, if you want to walk up and down,
No, I mean, just to
there's
see 'em,
food
yeah.
and whatnot. But no, there's no cost in terms of taking part, and just to see the wonderful sculptors and the talented people, and see the great things that they do. But in addition to that, there's also generally music and dancing, which doesn't cost anything. I think generally the only thing that you do have to pay for is food, and then maybe some, kiddie rides and stuff like that, small rides, and maybe some other carnival-like things down there. But outside of that, I talked to a lot of families, not only from Revere and Winthrop, but actually people come from all over for that. That's really quite a take. I talk to a lot of folks who tell me how they'll take their children from all parts of the North Shore, even from the South Shore, so that their kids can enjoy these great works of art.
I'm going to make this fast, please. The SJC had a decision saying that come November there's going to be a vote regarding gambling in the state, whether it can be eliminated, gambling in the sense of casino gambling. What's your feel toward it?
Although I would disagree with the decision. Having said that, the SJC made their decision. I have to respect that, and now it goes to the full voters of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which we respect, and people will have to make our case to folks throughout the state. So I think that right now, I think it promises to be a close vote. I think that it will be very interesting to see, obviously, the pros and the cons. And what's difficult here is there have been some folks, which is just one of the reasons, I disagree with the number, but one of the reasons, you've had folks who have invested quite a bit of money in a number of communities already. But that having been said, to give people the opportunity to be heard throughout the state in terms of their feelings, in terms of what they want in expanded gaming. From my perspective as the Speaker and a House member, the Governor, the House, and the Senate have placed money into our budget of some $54 million that we're relying on to balance our budget for this year, which if this should lose and that money is not available, then we'll have to think about, how we're going to make up for that. Now, that could be made up in a number of ways. Number one, if we're having a good year fiscally, then hopefully that money may be there that way. If we're not having that type of year fiscally, then we may have to take that money from the rainy day fund, which I really don't like to do that often. Or third, you may have to make cuts to the budget of that amount of money. So, but that's a ways.
Until November, we don't know what's going to happen.
To see what you have to do. So that promises to be a very, very interesting question as November approaches.
Okay. Now, like every show, why don't you face the camera, tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. They can reach me at 617-722-2500. That's 617-722-2500. Again, there's no problem too small or too big that I can try to be of assistance to you. I try to, at the very least, try to get an answer for most requests or issues with state agencies that that people may have, and we try to be helpful. And as till our next show, I hope all of you enjoy this, what's going to be a very nice month of July.
Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month. God be willing. Thank you.